All right. So welcome to the 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth Mastermind on March the 18th. Tonight we are covering the law of design, and the law of pain. I look forward to all of the chapters, but when I first read the book, these are two chapters that kind of just made me just put the book down and think. So I'm going to we're going to get to all that thinking in just a second. Got like three announcements I want to give you all real quick. Number one, I'm going to be launching new mastermind dates on tomorrow. Those new mastermind dates will not impact this 15 Laws cohort. We will be running through tonight. We will be at 50% completion of the book. So we have 50% remaining. Chapters 9 through 15 coming up, the remainder of the coming weeks. But I'm going to be launching dates for a new 15 Laws cohort. So if you all have anybody you want to refer, please let me know. Also going to be launching dates for the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership mastermind that I do. That is a 7-week mastermind. The caveat with that mastermind, it is at no cost. The 21 Laws Mastermind is at no cost. So just want to let you all know, if you want to participate in that mastermind, we're keeping the enrollment at 12. Also with that one, we already have about 4 people who have already enrolled in it and haven't even announced it. Glory to God. We got people waiting to get in. That's what I'm talking about, Holy Spirit. So 21 Laws dates will be coming out tomorrow for the next session that's coming up. If you want to be a part of that, send me an email. 15 Laws Mastermind, new dates will be coming out tomorrow. If you loved this one so much, you just want to do it again, come on. We'll take your money. It's okay with us. I'm just kidding. But if y'all do want to get in, just let us know. That's not a problem. And do me a favor, do not send me a chat. Send me an email or a text. I am not, that whole, in the 21 Laws of Mastermind, it's like more people in that one. And I really had to cut it off, but I had a group of 8 people who wanted to come in out of the same leadership team from a church, along with the other people that already registered. So we went over our max. And they be hitting me with messages in the chat. I got to stop doing what I'm doing, open up the chat window to see what they talking about. And so I told them, I said, from this point forward, y'all, we're not doing no more chat stuff. So if you want to register for that one, send me an email, send me a text, because what I do is I use the timestamp in the event. We get to a point where we go over, and I got to put you on a waiting list, and I need that timestamp. In addition to that, some people drop out at the last minute, and so whoever is the next one up at the timestamp, that's who I enroll in first. So definitely send me an email or a text. Let me know you want to be in one of those 2 masterminds. Now, in addition to that, in the 3rd or 4th quarter of this year, I'm going to be launching a 3rd mastermind in addition to these 2, and it is called Everyone Communicates, but Few Connect. Mm. Everyone communicates, but few connect. So that will not be launched until it'll probably be the 3rd quarter of 2018. I haven't set an exact date, but I'm almost 100% certain it's going to be 3rd quarter 2018 that we're going to launch that mastermind and run it concurrently with these 2 masterminds. Number 2, did anyone see the interview I did with my good friend, Mr. Kevin Riles?
Yes.
Y'all saw the interview? Thank you. I appreciate the support. If you didn't see part 1, if you didn't see part 2, you can see it. It's on kevinriles.com. You can listen to it as a podcast, or you can even watch the video. Kevin and I go way back to high school, and my boy didn't tell me he was going to record it. So I hadn't shaved. I was looking all rough. And I told him, it's like, bruh, why didn't you let me know you were going to record it? He's like, man, you look good. Come on. I'm like, yeah, you got a fresh cut yesterday. You clean shaved. And I'm up here looking like Billy Go Gruff. So, but that's what your boys do to you. So he and I go way back. He went to Willow Ridge, and we were in his organization called Inroads together. Once again, I thank God for good friends. And when you go way back and y'all stay connected, He's been a truly a blessing in my life, and I pray that I've been a blessing in his life too. And when he and I get together, the second company I started with Kevin Riles back in 1990, probably 98, 99, somewhere around there. And so when he and I get together and we do things like that, it's fun. All of the energy just comes out. So y'all listen to the interviews and let me know if we had too much fun and we were not clear, because sometimes when friends start to talking, it's a whole bunch of inside stuff. The third announcement is this. I want to share with you all an app by the name of Evernote. By a show of hands, anyone using Evernote now?
I use GoodNotes.
You use GoodNotes, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with GoodNotes, but I'm about to show you something with Evernote. And no, I don't make any money on this, but this is why I want to share this with you all. Technology and information are moving at the speed of light. And too often, you learn something, it's working for you, and then if you don't share it with other people, then they're missing out. So I decided a long time ago to share. And as a matter of fact, I think some of you are on my sowers email list. Now y'all are up to 8 bonuses. I'm going to add you all to the sowers list. You make that a note. And on this sowers list, it's about 50 or 60 people that I just sow into. I try to sow into them on a monthly basis. And so if I get a blessing, whether it be a sermon, whether it be, so God showed me something in the middle of the day or whatever it is, or a good book, a video, if it's something that adds value to your life, I try to keep it to myself, try to share with other people, and then teach other folk to do the same thing. So I've been using Evernote since about 2011. I just started using it when I, being in network marketing, always taking notes. And you get to a point where you have, just thousands and thousands of sheets of paper with notes on it. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And anybody say, man, I got too much paper. I need to declutter. Well, that was I think the original reason I was supposed to use Evernote in 2011, 2012. And what ended up happening, I did not commit to it. So I used it for a couple of years and kind of got away from it. It was real convenient. I would be in a meeting, pick up my smartphone, and I could type the notes in with my stylus. I could type it with my finger. I could just hit record. And any way you want to record the information will be right there in Evernote. Like I said, I stopped using it, went back to it last year, and those same notes from 2012 were right there in the cloud in Evernote. Recordings, pictures, all of that stuff. And it's a free app. They have a free and paid version. I used the free version up until the beginning of this year. Beginning of this year, I upgraded, and let me show you a few reasons. And some of these features you don't have to pay for. They come with the free version. So let me open this up so you can see what I'm talking about. Evernote has given me the ability to take a whole bunch of notes. You're in these different meetings and you want to be able to consolidate stuff where you don't have notes everywhere and put them all in one area. So tonight I decided to do this for you all. So this is what I'm gonna run through real quick. Evernote is a cloud-based note-taking app. So you can open it up, go to evernote.com. You can open it up in a browser, whether it be Chrome, Bing, Internet Explorer, whatever you're using. You can also download the app to your smartphone. You can also download the app to the hard drive on your computer and operate it just from the app. But because it's cloud-based, all the information comes up on all those different platforms. So the benefit that I've seen from Evernote, it helps me stay organized. Have you ever been in a meeting and you're like, man, I wish I had notes from this meeting or that meeting, and I'm able to go pull up stuff. So say, for instance, if I'm working on things for the 15 laws, one of the things that I really enjoy is that you can do tags. So like, say, for instance, this is the notes from 15 laws for this month, but I'm going to be teaching this mastermind for years to come. And because you can go up here and do tags, so I got 15 laws, I got design, 15 laws. If I go to search, anything I type into search, let's just do the one on vision. It's going to come up with everything I've done in regards to vision. So notes from a year ago, from last year, notes from 2017 about vision are in this particular. I didn't have to organize no folder. And that's another thing I like about it. All I did was just tag it. And if I want to find the information, if it's on vision, and say for instance you did not tag it, but there's something within the note. Say for instance you did a search on definiteness of purpose. You type that in, it's going to search in the body of the note and pull up that information. So if you're looking for vision or mastermind or definiteness of purpose, or Tomas is doing a sermon, try to pull up notes from a sermon from a year ago, it's just so many different features. The search capability on Evernote, unlike anything I've seen on any of the other note-taking apps. I have not used all of them, but this has been very value added for me. The other part that I really enjoy about it is that, let's say you're on the internet, and let me see if can y'all see this up here? Let me move it out the way. Can y'all see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Evernote web clipper. So say for instance, I don't know about you all, when you're doing research, you find something on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know back in the day, I would cut and paste and put everything. It was all over. It was in my Gmail, saved drafts. It was in Google Documents. But now I can go here and hit Web Clipper. That pops open. If I want to add a tag, and then hit save, it clips what I'm talking about now and saves it into a note in Evernote. And so that cuts down on time. And so now here's the same thing you saw on the screen is here now in a note. And what that does for me, it cuts down on me having papers and stuff everywhere. And I can go find it when I need it. If I'm researching stuff from, a year ago, it's just been a great value add for me in regards to cutting down the amount of paper I need to use, having notes all everywhere, and it's kept things just real simple for me. So, like I said, I'm not getting paid on this, but it has been a tremendous value add for me, and I want to share it with you all. Any questions about Evernote before we jump into the law of design? Okay, let's jump into the law of design. Now, as I mentioned, these two chapters make you think. It is 9:17, and I'm going to go till 9:30, and then we're going to give the floor to Fanshawn. Chapter 7, the law of design. To maximize growth, develop strategies. And he quotes someone that I have admired for many, many years, Jim Rohn. If you don't design your life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they may have planned for you? Not much. Anybody else that's loved Jim Rohn besides me? I mean, he's one of my favorites. And I think I remember where this quote comes from, the actual training that Jim Rohn did. But hearing him say it, it made me kind of laugh. But reading the words in the context of this chapter, it made me literally stop and just start sitting and thinking about this quote. And if you don't design your life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they may have planned for you? Not much. Before we even get into the details, how many of you all feel like that's true?
True.
What has been your experience? Well, this is the question I want. I hope I don't get too personal when I ask this question. Why do you think it's like that? Why do you think, first of all, do you all feel that most people fail to put a plan for their life on paper. Do y'all think that happens with most people? And I want to, when I was thinking about it, I was like, where does that come from? Does that come from our parents, come from society, a mixture of both? What are y'all's thoughts around that? You know what? It's not time for the question. I'm not following the format. Forgive me. The first point that resonated with me is Jim Rohn's point. If you don't put a plan together for your life, the people that you're working with, working for, they're going to have a plan for you. It's not going to be centered around you. It's going to be centered around them. And that was point number one that resonated with me. If you go to page 103, the other point I think I sent this out either on text or I put it on social media. Life is very simple, but keeping it that way is very difficult. I have never heard that before. That really just made me kind of say, wow, I've heard that life is simple. Man, life is simple. We hear that all the time. But the second half of it is what blew me away. Keeping it that way is very difficult. That was the second point that stood out to me. The third point that stood out to me is really not central to the theme of the chapter, but it's in the same section. And Maxwell's talking about going to a conference. Number one, that's the whole point in and of itself. This man has written all these books, and he still goes to conferences where he's not the speaker. He's the student. Does that resonate with you all like it resonates with me? And then the gentleman he references is Neil Cole. When I read that, I'm like, I got one of his books in my office. And, this gentleman he talks a lot about small groups and ministry, witnessing, salvation, and evangelism. And so when he's talking with Neil Cole, the third point that resonated is how to keep things simple. And he gives those 3 steps. Can it be received personally? Can it be repeated easily? And can it be transferred strategically? I have a question about that also, and I'll get to it in just a second. So those are the 3 points that resonated with me. Now, what's the second section? I created the flow. I forgot the flow. What's the second flow, Rashida? You giving me the eye, Rashida. What's the second part of the flow? Fanshawn, help your boy out. Let me get my notes here. One of 3 strategies you want to include in your life and personal growth.
I'm sorry.
Now, the one that I'm including is developing systems. And I've already, even before reading this chapter, I was doing that. Let me go to a specific point. So if you go to page 120, at the end of page, it says, explain them to a friend to see if they pass the 2 tests. I was already at a point in my life of developing strategies when I first read this chapter, but what I was not doing, I wasn't consistently putting it in front of other people to see if it passed a test of simplicity. So that's one of the main things from this chapter that I'm going to integrate into my plan, and to keep things simple, to have systems around my life to keep my life simple and make sure I'm designing the life that God has shaped me for versus just going through life and just existing, just living. Now, the question, let's go back. One question was, why do you think we're like that? On page, let's take it from the very first page in the chapter, page 101. The point about Jim Rohn. We've established the point that many of us don't plan. And so my question was, and I answered the question, I'm going to pose a question to you all, I want you all to talk about it. Well, why is it that we don't plan? Is it because we see that model from our parents? Or school doesn't teach us to do it? Why do you think so few people in our society take the time and effort to plan. I mean, you talk about what he does at the end of every year. He reviews every hour of the previous year. I got a question about that, but why do y'all think that is, in your opinion? Especially those of us who have children who may be grown. I really want you to speak to it. Go ahead, Rashida.
I think that we plan. I think a lot of people plan. I just don't think they plan properly. Maybe that might be it.
Okay.
Or they're not planning around the correct thing that's going to get them the desired results.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And
Okay.
that's a good adjective to put in there. I think it's an adjective. We don't properly plan. We plan. We just don't properly plan. Okay.
That's
Who
it.
want to go next?
I think sometimes, Taft, we get accustomed to failing. That a lot of times we choose not to plan. It's kind of like we'll kind of go as the day goes, and we decide to kind of have a haphazard mentality when it comes to making those plans, and ultimately when we don't plan, we end up planning to fail.
And that was another reason that I came up with for my own life, and it was a matter of my hope low. My hope meter was really low because of failure and things that just didn't go right. And I said, you know what? It probably ain't gonna work anyway, man. So I'm just gonna roll with like it is, how it is. Ain't gonna work out anyway. You know, just got to a point where hope was low.
Yes.
Next. Come on, y'all go fast. Y'all eating up my time. I gotta get the full fashion. Come on, talk to me.
I don't need 30 minutes.
Well, you have what you have is 12 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. We want to leave it because I have more questions on the whole your chapter and my chapter to throw at everybody. So I'm not gonna make you talk for 30 minutes. So the next question. Let's go on to my next question. I think everybody's on spring break. Let's go to my next question. Another point that stood out to me is I evaluate whether I spend enough time with my family. I also make a list of all the things Margaret and I did together that year. And I take her out to dinner one night so we can reminisce and enjoy them once again. That's a romantic evening that always ends well. That was just for me and Tamaya. So I tried to account for every waking hour I had the previous year. And what's the value of that? Why wouldn't y'all tell me one or two reasons why wouldn't somebody take time to do that, to account for every hour in the previous year? Why wouldn't a person do that? I'm gonna start with Mary Elizabeth. Tell me why. In your opinion, why wouldn't a person take the time to account for every hour from the previous year?
Most of the time when people come to the end of the year, they are so focused on the new year and putting those things that are behind that very few people really want to go back and evaluate what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Go back with the hope. But right when you come to the beginning of December, people start talking about the new year and expectation. And especially Christians, come with all these quotes for the new year. And so they go back and reflect. Nobody wants to think, okay, let me go evaluate. Let me look and see what happened last year. What could I do better? And so to be honest, I think that's for some is simply they don't want to think about it.
So you think it's some avoidance?
If we fail, we should so that we can do better. But the reality is moving forward, leaving that year behind instead of, and then especially if you're talking about marriage and family, whatever, go back and to talk and discuss those good and bad things, then what if the feelings come up? hey, ain't nobody been talking about it. Why do we want to bring it up?
That's the part I wanted to get to right there. It's a whole feeling and emotion thing, and we trying to avoid stuff. We're trying to avoid what really is, and I think that's why you have people who get hurt, whether it be, for example, just today, I'm sitting in IHOP with the children. Wife had brunch with the ladies. A friend of my daughter's walked in, and what's amazing is that, they went to little pre-K together, but the mother and I know each other from engineering and undergrad. She was at U of H and I was at PV. We were both at NSBE. And so we get to talking, and she just left. She said, we got put out of our church. And I looked at her, I'm like, what? And you know how you want to ask, but you don't want to ask? And so, I'm sitting and I'm talking to her, and the way this ties into the whole design concept and reflecting, there were things going on that her and her father and her mother, because she grew up in the church, so they all talking about it, and they're reflecting, and they went to the pastoral leadership to talk about these things. And that's when they got put out the church. So a lot of times we don't want to deal with stuff. And I'm not going to even, because y'all going, if I bring up the situation, from my understanding, this has been like all in the news and on the internet. I didn't know about it. And so I'm not going to bring up the situation because y'all going to know who the pastor I'm talking about. But that's my point. We don't want to address truth as believers a lot of times. And that those things that have hurt us, we need to face it. And her point to me was, I'm not going to say that because y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. But anyway, y'all, as believers, we gotta face the truth. It might hurt, but we gotta be real. We gotta be honest. And when we don't reflect back to these things that hurt us, you know what ends up happening? That same demon is empowered to attack the next generation. But I'm gonna go on. It is 9:30. I have some other questions, and they stem from the very end of the chapter. So when we get there, we're going to jump back. I'm going to give the floor to Fanchon. We're going to talk about the law of pain, and then we're going to talk about some other questions in regards to the pain and design. So Miss Fanchon Good, once again, congratulations, dear. She is now engaged, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all give my friend a round of applause. And you have the floor, my dear.
Okay. The law of pain. So it opens up with a series of questions. It's 5 questions that they pretty much grabbed me and wrestled me to the ground, my foundation. And it was a painful reality of how I'd handled the most recent crisis in my life. What I'd done was engineered my own growth plan without any no wisdom, heavy on the dumb, if that makes sense. Not realizing that my best thinking had gotten me in the extreme state of frustration that I was in. I think everyone's familiar with Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I often flip to that book, and it points out that between stimulus and response, we have the freedom to choose. What we do with our own painful experience defines who we become. And that leads me to the first point that resonated with me is, who do I want to become? So I won't even go into that, but that in and of itself was pretty heavy for me because I'd never taken the time to reflect and let growth catch up with me and think about or process how the pain and the wins and the losses have affected me, and how I want to use that to grow. So pain unimaginable. At different phases of my life, I can see how we experience success, God, fulfillment through other people's filters. And I think about this being a test that I want to pass. I want to learn and grow past the painful experiences. Um, then Matthews goes on into the next section, what I know about bad experiences. Everyone has them and has to deal with them. So you might as well incorporate the law of consistency in your personal growth plan. This next point, no one likes bad experiences, but however, in hindsight, it can become a great war story. Mm-hmm. You incorporate the law of reflection here and pause to allow the growth to catch up with you. Next, few people make bad experiences positive experiences. Learning this law of pain is pivotal for me because I want to grow up. I want to move forward and hopefully not have to take the same painful test again. If you're dedicated to growth, if you make a sincere commitment in your heart, then you have to manage your bad experiences well. You think of pain as a portal, and you have to get to the other side. There's no stopping and looking at it. You have to go through it. You've got to get to that other side. And so what you do to get to that other side of it is a choice that you make. He went through his pain file. I've never done anything like this. This exercise just kind of just blew me away. I won't belabor any of his points, but something that resonated with me was the pain of hard decisions. Particularly in my private life, it took me a few tries, but I too learned that leading my family well required me to know how and when to disappoint my children at a rate that they could stand. I was like, oh, because sometimes you just, you give it to them and you hope people, or you might not even think about it. You just give it to them and you don't even think about, what you want to get out of them, but you don't manage the whole experience or manage the whole situation. You just give it and don't even consider, what they're going through, because the main thing is that they get what you want them, what you're trying to say, not that you get it out. And so as a parent, oftentimes, early in my parenting stages, I was just trying to get it out, assuming that just because I got it out, it was received. But that wasn't necessarily true, because maybe the way I was delivering it, they weren't ready for it that way. So anyway, go to how to turn your pain into gain. And the first point goes back to choice. It's choosing a positive life stance puts you in the best position to manage those experiences and turn them into positive growth. Moving on to embrace and develop your creativity. I like the quote by Neil Donald Walsh: life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Bishop Jakes preached a sermon about the eagle and strengthening your wings and getting out there, and you don't know if the muscles are working unless you get out there. The eagle, the mother pushes them out there and they have to fly. You have to work those muscles in order to fly. And so that was pushing the eaglet out of the comfort zone, out of the nest. And that's when the life began for the eaglet, really living. That's what, part of the eagle's glory is to fly. You get to do, that's one of your gifts, one of your skills, abilities that you were naturally given. And if you're not doing that, what kind of existence do you have? And that goes the same for us too. I'm thinking about when I was raising my kids as a very young single mother with limited available means, and it proved very painful at times. And I had to be resourceful. I remember one time we had our electricity turned off, and and I couldn't pay the bill. So I got resourceful and told my kids we were camping, and they enjoyed it. And they didn't know that the electricity was cut off until years later. And they were, even during that time, they'd be like, "Oh, can we have camping? Mom, can we do camping?" "No, we don't need to camp today." And they were disappointed. And it was like, oh, wow, they thought that was a great time. But they didn't know when they were laying there in the tent with the little flashlights and dozing off, I'm over there crying because I can't provide for my children's basic needs. That was part of my war story. And so I think about that, even talking to them as they get older, and they say, "Man, how did you come up with that?" Look, I don't know. I was desperate. But that was part of embracing the value of a bad experience. My kids thought it was amazing. And even now, like I said, they reflect on it fondly. Let me see. Oh, so I don't know what page this is on. Taking responsibility for your life. You have to choose. This is another point that resonated with me. You have to choose to not let your circumstances define you. And I'm going to end with, when Maxwell was talking about the values exercise, identifying the top values and, picking up the top 6, the 2, and then the 1. And that's a strategy that I want to include in my ongoing personal growth, because I hadn't done that before. I know Taft gave us this exercise about this list of 100, qualities or, adjectives that describe us. That was hard. And so still working on that, by the way. But the values exercise, you think at different phases of your life, I guess the values change. Well, for me, they have. And maybe because I hadn't done it enough, maybe because I, gotten so overwhelmed with life that, I didn't even take the time to plan or come up with some kind of vision or a personal growth plan. Just a lot of things that, I haven't done. And it's stuff that just makes sense, but you just don't take the time. And then you start to question, well, I know I value my time and I know I value other people's times, but, like, what have I been doing? And it's, it can be a little embarrassing, but I'm not going to get caught in that. I just know that going back to my choice to do better, to learn from and grow from these painful experiences, and I used to read a lot to my kids. There's a quote from Dr. Seuss: "Oh, the places you'll go. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the one who'll decide where to go." And so I used to think about that, and I know it came out of the kids' book, but that just it. I just wanted to leave you all with that. That's all
Now,
I
this
have.
I got a question for Fanchon in particular. When I ask everyone to take a chapter, I want to know, Fanchon, what made you look ahead in the book and pick this chapter?
I knew what I was going through at the time, and like every area of my life, I had a major painful experience going on simultaneously. And I was like, all right, Lord. So, I've been committed to prayer, and instead of me just, it's good to pour your heart out to God, but I wanted him to speak back to me, because I remember a point in time when I could hear him when he spoke to me, and it, it was, turn this way or look that way. You just have this unction. So I looked at that. I was like, okay, Lord, what is it that you want me to do? Look, there's a lot that I went through in this chapter that I dare not scare anybody with on this call. And I know everybody has their, their pain points and, their life's experiences. I just know that for me, it's this first quarter of 2018. I thought 2017 was horrible. Yeah, it's been kind of rough. So that's why I know God wanted me to spend more time with him and read this this chapter. That's all.
I wanted to ask Fanchon that question. And Fanchon, I actually thought about it when you first said you wanted that chapter. I said, I'm not going to ask now, though. And I thought about it, and this is why. As you all know, I know everybody that's registered in the mastermind. Some of y'all I know on a very just surface level. Some of y'all I know I know some of Tomas's deepest secrets. I don't know many of Fanchon's deepest secrets, but I know she's gone through a lot. I do know that about her. And so when she said she went through that chapter, I smiled on the inside and with my mouth. And this is why I admire. There's two women on this mastermind that I literally admire and look up to. And that's Fanchon and Mary. I know only some of the pain that Fanchon has gone through. I know a lot of the pain that Mary's gone through. And when you say pain, but strength in the face of the pain, and they have faced it, I don't have the right to put either of them on the spot. But I know what God is, I kind of know what God is doing in their life. And there is a platform waiting for both of them where they're going to talk about that pain. And I want all of y'all to be praying for them, praying about that platform. And I want y'all to be ready when they start talking and be prepared to take notes. Because the strength, if you knew what I know about these two ladies, and then you see their children, you would be in tears and run around your house 7 times giving God glory. Because I have seen both of them toil, and I've seen the love and the protection that they put around their children. And that's what impressed me about Fanchon taking on this chapter. Because I knew I knew it was some pain. There was some pain she was dealing with, she has dealt with. And a lot of times, as Mary alluded to, we don't face the pain that we've gone through. Sometimes we're afraid to, sometimes we don't want to. And this, I don't know why I'm about to cry, but hey, Eddie Murphy, Red Fox, Richard Pryor, we're not going to cry right now. We're going to keep this. Somebody crack a joke. Kevin Hart, somebody give me a joke real quick. But
Jesus will, big bro.
I know he did, but he didn't do it on the virtual mastermind. So this is, let me show you all something. I wrote down this question. There were some questions I wanted to pull out, statements and questions and points from both chapters. And I may end up only doing this for chapter 8, but I do have a couple for, you know what, let me start with chapter 7. And then because I think the meat is going to be in chapter 8. Let's see. What process did you go through? Talking about the law of design. What process did you go through in 2007 in preparation for 2018? Don't want you to respond. I want you to think about it and write down the response in one sentence. Write down the answer. I got a follow-up question. The follow-up question is, what process did you go through in 2016 in preparation for 2017? I think you see where I'm going. What process did you go through in 2015 in preparation for 2016? Everything we do in life has a pattern, and all our results in life are a result of habits. If we keep doing the same thing that our great granddaddy and grandmama did, mama and daddy did it, we doing it, nothing's changing from generation to generation. At some point, you have to say, I am tired of seeing my family struggle financially. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to be the Joseph in my family. Some point, somebody has to stand up and say something's going to be different. And if something's going to be different, if you're going to change something, it's a whole lot of demons who don't want nothing to change. And you're going to have to face a whole lot of pain. In my family, I'm tired of seeing. Growing up as a child, marriage was commonplace. And now it is not. I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to make marriage so freaking attractive that I want people to say, speaking of my family, I want everybody to say it, but speaking of my family, man, I want that. I'm going to make business ownership attractive. That my family says, dude, you know what? It's okay to have a job, but it's not okay to just have a job. Because we can't get to, I truly believe, my pastor said it like this in one of his books he co-wrote. He said, God is an entrepreneur. And the entrepreneurial spirit is in all of us. How we express it, whether it be full-time entrepreneur, whether it be vocational, or whether it be a part-time, it's not about just being a multimillionaire, but it's about building a platform that we can wield to our children, that our children can stand on. As an engineer, I couldn't wield that to my children. So it's some things that we got to be intentional about it. And then that leads into my next and final question on this chapter. when he talked about those different sections, let me get to it in my notes. What areas in your life receive the most of your strategic planning time? Have you been strategic in your approach to designing strategies and systems for your life? If not, why not? Don't skip over that question. Answer that why not question. What area has received the most emphasis? Does your behavior line up with your priorities? How would you like them to be? And then he lists 8: career, faith, family, health, hobby, marriage, personal growth, vacation. Many of us, I've seen people invest more time, energy, and effort in planning their vacation than they do their marriage. I just told someone last week, don't invest more energy in planning the wedding than you do the marriage. I told Andre when we were getting ready to get married, let's go to premarital Bible study, and if we see something that we don't like, it's okay for us to go our separate ways. But how much time, energy, and effort are we putting into these areas in our life? And then which one gets the most intentional attention? Career, faith, family, health, hobby, marriage. I'm going to tell you where I'm weak. I'm very weak when it comes to giving attention and time to hobbies and vacations. At one point in my life, I had not had a vacation for 8 years. I was working, full court press, going, doing it, getting it done. I was in pursuit of my dream. Then one of my boys stopped me and told me, he said, Taft, even God rested. And I looked and I was like, hey, what am I doing? So I've always been very heavy on giving that time to career. And even in the past 20 years, giving that time to faith. Because at one point I realized if I can sit down and set these goals and game plans for the year for my business, why can't I do that with my walk with God? And so I began to map out stuff I wanted to study and questions I had for God. In one of them journals up there is questions that I wrote down back in 1997. God, what do you mean by seeking the kingdom? I was intentional about getting these answers, but I was not like that about vacations. I was not like that about hobbies. I was kind of like that about personal growth. I was kind of like that about marriage, probably to the point that Andre was like, dude, you kind of being kind of anal, you know, but because of what I saw happen in my family, there was a method to my madness, even though I was driving her mad on the way. You know, I didn't know how to do it. Nobody modeled that for me. And that's another important part of this whole design process, which goes back to my original question. Why do we do it? We need to be better models for our children. If they grow up in environments where they see this kind of effort and intentional attitudes around designing our life and personal growth, and the family is more important. Even God didn't create the church first. He created family first. But I see so many preachers and pastors and people in ministry, they always at church. And it gets to the point where it's like even for me, let's go to pain now. When he talked about on the first page, what we do with that experience defines who we become. On page 121 of chapter 8, last sentence, I put most do nothing with their pain experience. Then I put a crazy question, Spanshawn. I had the audacity to write, Taft, consider your pain. And because I've even did this before, reading this book, my father, and I'm going to be transparent with you all, and I'm going to take everybody off of mute, because if you got questions, if I start crying, I want to hear if you crying too. So everybody coming off of mute. I'm taking everybody off of mute on my own. And 254, we didn't welcome you to the training. Who's that at 254 number that dialed in?
Hey everyone, it's Alexis. I was in commute, so I didn't think I would make it, but I decided to listen in.
Okay, great, excellent. We're glad you were here. So I know you were driving, so I'll put you back on mute. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So I said, Taft, consider your pain, and I dealt with the pain. It's 9:59. I'm gonna go for another 8 to 10 minutes. And if y'all need to get off, I understand. But I firmly believe God has given me the ability to reflect. It seemed like he gave me that gift at a very young age. And I don't know if it was because of my parents, got a divorce. Dude, don't start crying right now. Come on, chill out. So, I don't even have any memories of my parents being married. And it was a very sore spot for me. So I carried that pain throughout my life. I remember, and Tobias can remember this, and it's probably why he don't want the video on, because he don't want to start crying too. But I would cry every time I had to leave my father in the summer, come back to Houston for school to start. And it got to a point where I stopped crying. I'm good. But then my little brothers, Tino, Tomas, and Trevor, they started crying. That made me cry more. And so I grew up with this pain of separation. Not having any memories of being able to look to the sideline and see my father. I have no memory like that. I'm 46 years old. I have no memory of being on vacation with my own father. So divorce can hurt you for generations. And if you don't wake up and get past that pain and face that hurt, it will infect the next generation. I made a decision before we got married. I'm not gonna do what my daddy did. And my daddy, he didn't divorce my mama. My mama divorced my daddy. But my daddy worked all the time. My memories of being with my daddy, and Tomas is probably smiling right now. My memories is us cleaning buildings. My daddy had a business on the side. We could bug strip, wax floors. Mm-hmm. We know how to empty trash cans, know how to tie the bags so the bag don't fall in the trash can. And, daddy taught us a lot. And I'm grateful for the relationship. He and I, he's close. Every child my father has. Well, every child that I have met that my father has, he has a close relationship with that child. And so it's not like my father's a deadbeat dad, sorry father, none of that stuff. Fanchon was at my wedding. My daddy was my best man in my wedding. So we have a very close relationship. But what I did not want to do is carry what happened with me and not having some of those memories into my fatherhood. And as a result, when my son started getting older, started playing sports, I'm still talking about pain, y'all. I found myself struggling with, should I go to this meeting or should I go to Taft's soccer game? And I literally would feel angst and worry and trepidation. I would be at a meeting, but thinking about being with my family. And if I was with my family, I was thinking about being at the meeting, and I was just torn. So we have to do a better job at modeling how to handle these things for our children. We got to do a better job, because if we don't face these pains, that demonic spirit is sitting there waiting. Because the devil is not equal to God, and the devil is not omnipresent. Therefore, he cannot be everywhere. But the devil has a legion of angels who got kicked out with him, And so he got some homeboys, some imps and emissaries working with him. And I truly believe that one demonic spirit will attack the next generation over and over. And if we don't learn how to tear down these strongholds, address this pain, the stuff continues. Whether it's divorce, whether it's parenthood, whether it's infidelity, whether it's, when I taught, I would destroy that attitude and spirit of, I'm not good at math. You only saying that because you heard your mama and your daddy say that. I'm going to destroy that right now. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful about what we say, how we say it, who we're hanging around, who we are being, not hanging around, but who are we being? We are human beings. Who are we being around? All of that stuff affects us and our ability to address the pain in our life. And if you haven't done it, I encourage you. The page is page 126. Do your own pain file. It might take you a while. It might be very painful. But the moment I didn't get over my parents getting a divorce until I was in my 30s. In my 30s. And the way God helped me get over it, I was a teacher at Project Chrysalis Middle School. And this young lady, Michaela Selly, wrote me a letter. She said, Mr. Mohair, my parents are getting a divorce. And I feel like it's my fault. You said we could talk to you about anything. I just started crying. And it was like at that moment, God revealed to me, your parents going through a divorce was so that you could help this young lady today. And that leads me to my final point. Kirk Franklin, in one of his many songs, has a line, and the line says, all pain has purpose. All pain has purpose. It hurts. We probably had many nights where we laid in the bed and cried. We probably wanted to talk to somebody and we couldn't. We probably did talk to somebody and we said, why did I talk to that person? But what I have gotten to the point in my life is that all the pain from childhood, all the pain, even in marriage, all the pain of making a mistake as a parent, all the pain, the pain in business, the pain of disappointing God. A lot of times we carry that pain for really too long. And we need to, it's not about how much you love God. It's about how much God loves you. But in religion, we're told and taught, and we hear people speak about, I just love the Lord. It ain't about how much you love him. It's about how much he loves you. And he loved you so much that he demonstrated his love, even while you were yet getting even while you wasn't living right, Taft.
Thank you, Lord.
Y'all stop laughing at me. So I want to encourage us. This chapter, I think he may have strategically put the law of pain in the middle of the book, not at the beginning. You like, man, I ain't reading no more of this. Not at the end where you end on I don't want to end our call on a crying note, but I do want to end it on the point. All pain has purpose. All you got to do is look at the life of Joseph. If you ever doubt what you've gone through, if it has that has purpose, just study his life. He is how did the theologians say? An early version of Jesus, in that he delivered his family from sure death. Not he was a savior, but he was not the savior. And so when we go through the pain that we go through in life, it has purpose. It has a reason. And when you look at what Joseph was able to do, even though he went through all of that, Satan had one goal, but God had his hand on his life. And I encourage each and every one of you, our pain has purpose. You know, the old saints would say, keep your hand in God's hand. And, you know, that's real. Abide in him and he will abide in you. Right. So I'm going to, are there any comments, any questions? Anybody?
Just real quick comment. I wrote down, pain produces power and pain births miracles. And once the management of pain or emotions develop the mastery of our lives, being able to master our lives, until we're able to manage pain or manage our emotions, then we would never be able to master our life. But pain births miracles. And we know, we always hear the analogy of childbirth. And so what we go through, the pain, the challenges that we have to know that God takes those things and he works them out and we work miracles. There are a lot of things that I would not want to go through again. But what it has done is I don't regret them because it broadened my level of influence. I may not know your pain, but I know pain. I may not know disappointment, but I know disappointment. I may not know your abandonment, but I know abandonment. And so even though there is a lot of pain in my life and I have experienced pain, but the people that I connect with, so it is part of purpose. Had I not had the pain, the people that God has assigned me to, I would not have been prepared for them. The people that you are assigned to, Taft, the people that all of us in this group we are assigned to, our pain prepared us for that purpose. That is where the power is coming from. The power is not coming from our looks. The power is not coming from our intellect. The power is not coming from how articulate we are. The power is coming from the pain. The pain that we have, the pain and the power you have that's manifested is because God is using it. And he's using it as a miracle. And so pain produces power. Even in Joseph's life, you talked about him. The reason that he was able to be the deliverer for his family was not because it was sunshine and apple pie. It was because he had walked through something. He understood something. He was developing leadership skills. He was developing patience. There was something being developed in him to prepare him, to give him the power he would need. Because this is the key. You don't want to just get in a position and don't have the power to possess it.
You got to hold on to it.
Come on.
God opens the door, but you don't have what it takes. So by the time Joseph finally got into position, he could keep it.
Yeah.
And so that's just what I want to encourage. And this is the last thing, and I'm sorry. Even people who are victims, be it victim of, I say I'm a victor of abuse. And the reason I say this, and this has to do with telling your story. When you tell your story of pain as a victim, you get shame and guilt. Mm-hmm. When you tell your story as a victor, there is a whole nother way you tell your story. So most people don't want to share, maybe it's not even being a victim, but I'm just using it as an example. Many people don't want to share their story because they're sharing it from a place of shame, a place of guilt, embarrassment. Even if it was done to me or done to you, you are feeling embarrassed or shamed because maybe I could have done something different. Or let's just say the divorce situation. You know, I'm not going to share this because I'm a man and I should not feel this way. And there's shame and embarrassment. But when we tell our story from a place of a victor, then that brings power so that someone else can get helped. We are healed healers. So through our healing, we are able to help someone else heal. And so,
Amen.
My past collection plate, brother.
Yes, sir.
Man, I am truly grateful.
Yes.
I'm grateful for that wisdom you shared, Mary. Thank you. And you don't ever have to say I'm sorry. You don't ever have to hold back. And that's with all of you. I want y'all to understand this platform is not about, me pontificating. This is, I really want you all to get to a point of executing this information. So the more you get the opportunity to co-lead on a chapter or even share your thoughts, please do, because that means you're retaining more of the information. And as Mary just basically stated, you are expressing, and when you express, it's resonating with somebody else. Mm-hmm. What I said may not have hit you the way Mary said it. I just want you to be hit. I don't care who do the hitting. I just want you to get it. So I'm grateful for all of you all being on the virtual mastermind tonight. Grateful for you all sharing. And before I let you go, let me pull up the next chapter. Any other comments before?
Taft.
Go ahead.
I know some people need to go, and so I'm going to ask after you fully finish, but you keep us on for those who want to stay on. I really feel like I want to pray. So once you complete, but if you could keep it for those who want to stay on.
You got it. You got it. So tonight we covered 7 and 8. On the 25th, next week, we have chapter 9, the ladder, chapter 10, the rubber band. I'm going to take chapter 10. If there's somebody who wants to take chapter 9, please send me a text. April the 1st, we have Mary doing trade-offs. And if somebody wants to do chapter 12 on curiosity, they can. Otherwise, I'm going to take it. And then April the 8th, chapter 13, modeling, I'm going to do that. So chapter 14, expansion, is up for grabs. And then the 15th of April will be the law of contribution. And we'll close things out on April the 15th. And to recap the bonuses, the first session, Mr. Howard White shared with you all determining your purpose. It was an audio. If you did not receive that, if you don't have that, let me know. I'll get it to you. It's a video. I think it's a video on purpose. It's a video. And I think I've already sent you all the spiritual gifts survey. Is that correct? Yes. Did y'all get that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, good. And the Miles Monroe information on gifting, did I send that to you all already? I don't think I have. Okay. I'm looking at my list here, and I had dates put by it on when to send the stuff, and I don't think I followed my dates. So I'm just gonna reset these dates and just put stuff out on an automatic send per week, and that way I don't have to worry about continuing to manage that. Just gonna put it on an automatic send where you all get it one a week, and we'll just go from there. That's the way I don't have to worry about, did I send that one? And you will have those bonuses. All right.
Got it.
Okay, I am going to, hold on one second, Mary. I want to make the prayer a recording of its own. 1 second.